They thought it was just another bag, just another person who didn't belong in their circle. The room buzzed with laughter as a few of them smirked, convinced they were about to uncover something embarrassing. But the moment her backpack was ripped open, everything changed. The noise died, the air turned heavy, and every single face froze at what they saw. It wasn't money, jewelry, or anything they had imagined. It was a medal, but not just any medal. It was something so rare, so powerful in its meaning, that it felt like time itself stopped. She stood there, silently, her eyes steady, as if she had seen this reaction before. No one dared to speak. A few of them exchanged awkward glances, suddenly, aware of how wrong they had been. Who was this woman, and why did she have a medal that carried such weight? It wasn't a trinket or an award you could just buy. It looked like something earned through blood, sacrifice, and courage. The kind of medal that told stories without words. As they stared, questions filled the room. Some stepped back, almost ashamed of what they'd done. Others leaned closer, desperate to understand the truth behind it. The energy shifted so sharply that even the walls seemed to echo with tension. She still hadn't said a word, but her silence was louder than anything. They could imagine. What was this medal, and why did it hold such power over them? Who was she really, and what story was hidden in the life she never spoke about? The answers were right there, yet no one dared to ask Kathleen. Not yet. The room stayed still, as if the air had thickened around them. No one dared to touch the medal lying on the floor. It gleamed under the dim light, its surface marked with symbols that looked older than anything they had ever seen. A few of them tried to break the silence with nervous laughter, but even they couldn't look away from it. It wasn't just an award, it was something that carried a story of survival, its courage, and moments that could never be forgotten. She slowly picked up the medal and placed it back in her bag, her hands steady, but her eyes carrying years of untold pain and strength. "You have no idea what this means," she said softly, her voice calm but unshakable. That single line sent shivers through everyone in the room. They had underestimated her, judged her by her simple clothes and quiet nature. None of them could have guessed that she was someone who had seen the kind of battles most people couldn't even imagine. Whispers started to spread among them. Someone asked, almost trembling, "Where did you get that? Who gave it to you?" But she didn't answer. Instead, she looked around, her gaze piercing, as if she was silently asking who among them even deserved to know. Every detail about her suddenly seemed mysterious. Who was this woman who had walked into their lives so quietly, only to leave them stunned with just one small object? The tension grew heavier as everyone waited for her to speak again. But she didn't. It was as if the story behind that medal was locked inside her, a story that could change everything once revealed. And yet, she wasn't ready to tell a tat. Least, not yet. The silence in the room grew uncomfortable, each second stretching longer than the last. Someone finally muttered, "It can't be real." Can it? But even they sounded unsure. The medal's weight was not just in metal, but in the history it carried. A man in the corner who had been watching quietly stepped forward. His voice was calm, but edged with curiosity. "I've only ever seen one like that in a museum," he said. "It's not the kind of thing someone just finds." His words made everyone shift uneasily. She didn't respond. Instead, she placed the medal back into her bag with deliberate care, as though sealing away a piece of herself. The tension wasn't only about the medal now, it was about what it represented. The room seemed divided between those who wanted to know the truth and those who were too afraid to ask, outside the window. The world moved on as if nothing had changed, but inside it felt like the air crackled with unspoken questions. One of the younger women who had initially mocked her now couldn't stop staring. "Did you earn it?" she asked, her tone soft and unsure. It was more than curiosity, was respect. even if she didn't fully understand why. The man by the door, however, wasn't so easily swayed. He crossed his arms and narrowed his eyes. There's always a story behind something like that. People don't just carry medals unless they're hiding something, he said. His words hung in the air, making everyone wonder if he was right. She looked at him for a moment, her gaze sharp but unreadable. Some stories aren't meant to be told to those who wouldn't believe them, she said. And with that, the mystery only deepened. The room felt smaller now, as if the walls were closing in with every breath. No one dared to look away from her. That medal had changed everything, turned whispers into silence and curiosity into fear. The man by the door took a slow step forward, his eyes locked on her bag. If you're not going to tell us, he said, his voice low and firm, then maybe we'll find out ourselves. His words made a few people gasp, while others exchanged uneasy glances. No one knew what would happen next, but every second felt like it was building toward something none of them could stop. She didn't move, didn't even flinch. The calmness in her face only made the tension sharper. "You think you can handle the truth?" she asked, her tone cold but quiet. "Because once you know, there's no going back." Her voice carried a weight that made the room fall silent again. Yet it only stirred more questions in their minds. The younger woman stepped closer too, torn between fear and fascination. "Please," she whispered, "just tell us what it means. Why do you have it?" The room's air grew heavier as every eye followed her, waiting for an answer that wasn't coming. The silence stretched, broken only by the sound of the man's impatient footsteps. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed from outside the door, 3 heavy thuds that froze everyone where they stood. Someone outside called her name, their voice strong and commanding, as if they already knew what was inside that bag. The room tensed instantly. Who were they, and why did it sound like they had come for her? Her eyes darkened as she whispered, "It's starting." The 3 knocks still echoed in everyone's ears when the door creaked open. A tall figure stepped inside, his presence commanding the room without saying a word. He wasn't dressed like anyone they knew. His dark jacket bore a strange insignia that matched the symbol etched onto her medal. The moment his eyes found her, it was as if the rest of the room didn't exist. "You shouldn't have shown it," he said in a tone that was both calm and threatening, as though he had expected this moment but dreaded it too. A wave of unease swept through the group. No one dared to interrupt, but their eyes darted between the stranger and her. Trying to piece together what was happening, she rose slowly, her posture firm, and for the first time, there was a flicker of fear in her expression. "I didn't plan for this," she replied softly, but there was steel in her voice. The tension thickened. What could a simple medal mean that someone like him would come looking for it? The man by the door, who had been skeptical from the start, suddenly stepped in front of her, as if to shield her. "What's going on here?" "Who are you?" he demanded. The stranger's sharp gaze cut through him, but he said nothing. Instead, he reached into his jacket and placed something on the table, and identical medal, but tarnished and scratched as if it had been through countless battles. Gasps filled the room. 2 medals, 2 secrets, and neither of them explained what they meant. She looked at the stranger, her jaw tightening. "If they're here, it means the others aren't far behind," she said. Her words sent a chill through everyone. Whatever was coming, it was closer than any of them realized. The walls seemed to vibrate with waiting. Then she finally spoke, not to the stranger, but to the room. "You kept asking what this medal means," she said. "It isn't a prize. It's proof of a promise." She opened her bag again and held the medal up beside the tarnished one. They were created for a small rescue unit, not soldiers. People who stepped in quietly when systems failed, earthquakes, floods, places no one reported on. Each medal is paired. One is kept by the witness, who was saved. The other stays with the one who swore to protect them if danger returned. The tension shifted into stunned silence. The mockery, the doubt. The conflict it all softened into an uneasy respect. The man by the door looked confused now, not defiant. "So which are you?" he asked. She met his eyes. "I carried people out when others turned away. But this." One she touched the bright metal was never mine. I was only holding it until its owner was strong enough to claim it. The younger woman's breath caught. "Owner." Her voice trembled. The stranger nodded slowly toward her. "You were a child," he said gently. "You survived when a hillside village collapsed. Someone carried you out under broken beams. You forgot the faces, but a promise kept its way back." Tears formed before she could stop them. Fragments scolded night air. A steady heartbeat, a whispered voice stirred inside her. The main fear in the room melted into something warmer. Shared truth. She reached out. The woman pressed the bright metal into her palm. "It was always yours," she said. Relief washed through everyone till the stranger lifted the tarnished metal and turned it over. Carved into the back was a fresh mark that had not been there minutes before. A third symbol glowing faintly. His steady voice thinned. "This shouldn't appear unless one of us has been followed." The silence returned sharper than before. The room held its breath as the glowing mark on the tarnished metal pulsed like a quiet warning. The stranger's eyes scanned the shadows, tense but steady. "It means someone else knows these metals are here," he said. For a moment, fear crept back into the room, but the woman stepped forward, her calm presence cutting through the uncertainty. "Then we face it," she said, her voice firm. "Because these metals were never meant to hide. They were meant to remind us of who we are when everything is stripped away." The younger woman clutched her metal tightly, now understanding its weight. Memories of that day, the voices calling for help, the strong arms that carried her to safety flooded back, no longer blurry. "I thought I was just lucky," she whispered, tears streaking her face. "But it wasn't luck. It was you." The woman gave a small, knowing smile. "Not just me. Oh, there's always more than one person holding the line when the world falls." Apart. The man who had doubted her earlier stepped forward, his voice softer now. "So, what happens next?" he asked. The stranger exchanged a glance with the woman, then placed the tarnished metal back in his pocket. "Next," he said, "we prepare. These stories don't end, they carry forward, and now you're part of it too." The group stood in silence, not from fear this time, but from a new sense of respect. The metals were more than metal.